and make it true to the ideas of freedom and justice and brotherhood for all who make it great. Guard us from war, from fire and wind, from compromise, fear, and confusion. From the close to our president and our congressional leaders, give them the wisdom and courage and vision as they ponder decisions affecting peace and the future of the world. Make me more deeply aware of my heritage, realizing not only my rights, but also my duties and responsible as a citizen. Make this great land and all its people know clearly your will, that we may fulfill it. That we may also fulfill the destiny ordained for us in the salvation of the nations and restoring of all things in Christ. Amen.
Amen.
That's really offensive.
Yes, it is.
Now we'd like to call on Senator Tom Watley of District 27 of the Alabama Legislature, and he's a colonel in the Army National Guard. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise to honor our nation. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I introduce Congressman Rogers, I'd like to remind everyone here that to be respectful of each other, and if there's any yelling or disruption of any kind, we'll have security remove you from the room. We'd like to introduce Congressman Rogers. In Congress, Rogers serves as chairman of the Strategic Forces Subcommittee, a senior member of the House Armed Services Committee, House Homeland Security Committee, and House Agriculture Committee. Now I'll turn it over to Congressman Rogers, and then we'll open everything up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll call on you at random. Once you've been recognized, someone will bring you a microphone to ask your question. Congressman Rogers.
Thank you, Jim. I want to thank the folks here at Southern Union for allowing us to use this facility. Ideally suited for a function like this. And I want to thank the Lee County Sheriff's Department, the Opelika Police Department, and Campus Police for agreeing to provide security. Unfortunately, with the way things have gone in this country in recent years with Gabby Giffords shooting, and then the recent shooting in Washington, there's several members, a lot of folks are concerned about coming to events like this because of potential danger. So having this security here, I know will make everybody feel more comfortable in this venue. What I thought I would do, take just a few minutes to kind of give you the lay of the land of what we've been doing and plan to do for the balance of this year in Congress, and then spend the rest of the time doing Q&A. And I will say about the Q&A part, I have not, nor has anybody on my staff had any conversations with the moderator about who to call on, not call on. He can call anybody he wants to answer their questions. So far this year, most of you know that the bulk of time in Congress has been devoted to health care reform, repeal and replace. It has dominated an enormous amount of time on the House side before the House version was passed out several weeks ago. And then as you saw in the last couple of weeks, it dominated the Senate's time as they tried to move their version out. And it was really a shell of a version, which failed by one vote. John McCain put a knife in the heart of that effort. And in my view, unfortunately, I think the health care repeal and replace is dead for this Congress. I don't see it coming back. Having said that, we also, on the House side, were able to pass the National Defense Authorization Act. It's the only major piece of legislation that has been able to be passed by every Congress for 54 straight years, no matter what else we were fussing about. Which is something we take, particularly those of us in the Armed Services, we take a lot of pride in, is that when we have our differences about a lot of things, we don't let it get in the way of making sure our men and women who are serving our country to keep us free and safe have what they need to be safe and successful. So we've been able to do that for 54 straight years. We want to make it 55. The House got its version. We passed out of committee. The House passed it off the floor. The Senate was primed to take up the National Defense Authorization Act on the floor, because it had already come out of committee right before we left. It was next up, but when John McCain voted no, and some of his members asked him why, on the Republican side, he said, well, I'm ready to get on to the defense authorization bill. So as you know, Rand Paul went over and put a hold on it, just to kind of get back at John McCain for doing what he did. So it will be September when we go back next month, that the first thing up on the Senate side will be the National Defense Authorization Act. And then it will go to conference committee, just like we were going to do with healthcare reform that had been killed. We have a House version, Senate version, they're different, go to conference committee. We feel pretty good that we'll work it out in a timely manner and hopefully have that put to bed by late October or November. Beyond that, when we get back, we're going to have a debt ceiling vote. We're going to have a budget vote. The budget vote is always the hardest vote of the year. It just is. But we're also going to move on to tax reform. That's up next. We're hearing from the Democrat side, they want to work with us on it. We'll see when we get back. The president started to talk more about the tax reform initiative, but that's going to be tough. Not the rate reform, and I'm happy if you want to ask some questions about tax reform and talk more about it. But comprehensive tax reform, there's a reason why it hadn't happened since 1986. When you start getting too broad, it gets more difficult. In my view, if the president and the leadership on both sides of the Capitol will narrow the scope to rate reductions and such as that, some simplification, some flattening of tax code, make it more fair, that's doable, but the broader they get, the more difficult it will be. Then I think you'll see us move to infrastructure. That is something that the president has touted as being one of his big desires. And we all know our roads and bridges are crumbling, our sewer systems need attention. And he's talking about $1 trillion infrastructure system. My guess is that's the bill that has the most chance of success. And that's because most of the Democrats want it. And a good part of the Republicans, the Democrats are more supportive of that than they are anything that the president is talking about. And I think with near unanimity, they will support that because of the jobs, particularly the union jobs that we're creating. So I'm real optimistic about that. The last big area that I think that the president's going to pay attention to, focus on this year, we're going to run on a runway by the end of the year, is securing the southwest border and the wall and immigration reform. When he starts talking about how to fund the wall and building the wall, there's going to be a lot of opposition from the Democrat side. And I don't know how that's going to play out. I'm happy to talk about it during the Q&A, but that's going to be a tough road to hoe. And then, as you know, once we get over into the first of next year, then it's primary qualifying time, and things get, there's not big legislation that moves then. There's small stuff, but not big stuff. And that's true every election year, every cycle, every decade. It's just always been the case. It's going to be the case next year. So if big stuff's going to happen, it's going to have to happen this year. All right, with that, I will yield and take any questions.
All right, we'll end this at 12 o'clock today. It'll be sharp, 12 o'clock sharp. How about this lady right here? The microphone needs to go over to you first.
Thank you, Congressman Rogers, for scheduling the town hall and an invitation to be here. I appreciate that. My name is Jennifer Brooks. I live in Auburn. And I'll make this really quick. I have a question about healthcare. I've lived here about 11 years or so. I've got a 13-year-old daughter, second day of school today, and she has cancer. She is in remission. I'm really fortunate about that, so she's probably going to be okay. But that means she now has a pre-existing condition that will follow her the rest of her life through no fault of her own. So my question for you is, will you vote to protect the mandate that requires protection for people with pre-existing conditions? Thank you.
I don't think I'm going to get a chance because I think it's over for this Congress, as I said. And I regret that for my state. Alabama, for those of you who have been keeping up with it, and you can go to HHS website and see this, has had their rates increase 223% between 2013 and 2016. The highest average increase in the nation is hit Alabama. I hear horror stories all throughout my district of people who can't afford their insurance anymore, their private plans, and they aren't in a big group. And it's tough. We need to deal with situations like you just described and give some permanence to it. We need to deal with situations like I'm hearing from small business people. To give you an example, I have a pharmacist up in Randolph County whose wife has terminal cancer. Their premiums are now almost $2,000 a month with a $14,000 deductible, and it doesn't cover her what's the medication for cancer treatments? Chemo, some of the chemo treatments. It's heartbreaking, and it's financially devastating to them, and their insurance is basically worthless to them. He has no options to go into the market and find something that is a better fit for them because of the way the current law is structured. So my view is we ought to have been continuing to work towards some method that would have taken care of your concern, but also given some relief to folks who were in private plans that they didn't have any choice in. I don't think we're going to get that now. I really don't. But thank you for that question.
How about the lady back there, dark, right there? You okay? Gentlemen. Right there, okay.
Okay. Hi. I too thank you for having this town hall, Representative Rogers. My name is Ashley Aston, and I am from Auburn, Alabama. My question is, given the fact that all of us who wanted to attend this town hall were told we needed to have a valid Alabama-issued photo ID with an address in the district, do you think it is fair for you to accept 72% of your campaign finance contributions from outside your district and 13% from out of the state of Alabama? Or are you intentionally limiting the opportunities of your constituents to engage with you, especially as you schedule this town hall during the first week of school on a regular work day during work hours?
Good question. That's a really good question.
First, I would say that I'm not a member who's moved to Washington. I live in the 3rd Congressional District. I come home every week. I don't need a town hall to know how my people feel about issues. I interact with people every day when I'm in Alabama, and my district staff does every day. We know what the issues of this district are. That's how I've been elected and re-elected 8 times, because we stay on top of it. Now, I understand that people are unhappy, many people, with some of the president's policies. But you know, again, this is my 15th year. I've only had 2 years out of that 15 where I've had anybody call to my office for town hall meetings. And by the way, that's where the solicitations come from. It's telephone calls and emails and letter mails to or snail mail to my offices. It's nobody coming up to my staff or to me when we're out and about the district saying, wow, we need to have a town hall and talk about that. I just don't. Listen, I understand. There are two times in my 15 years where I've had people crying for town halls. One was in 2010 when Barack Obama, if you're going to interrupt, we're not going to continue this. I'm happy to answer this lady's question, but you're going to have to listen without heckling. I didn't heckle her when she talked. Just listen, be respectful. In 2010, when Barack Obama was elected, and he began what many viewed as a socialist takeover of health care, and what many in the country viewed as a socialist takeover of the financial system, and energy, a lot of people in the country got very unhappy, and there was a screaming for town hall meetings in the summer of 2010 because they were unhappy, and that was the birth of what became the Tea Party. But that dissipated. You know, the laws passed, and people went back to their normal patterns of behavior. And in the years prior to that and the years subsequent to that, until this year, when I have town hall meetings, nobody comes. I have to stir up people to try to get them to show up. But then you fast forward from 2010 to this summer, Donald Trump has been elected, and he wants to undo what that president did in 2010. The other half of the country that wasn't mad before is mad now. And we hear this hue and cry from that other half to want to come out and express themselves. And that's what we're doing today, giving you a chance to express yourself.
How about the lady in the striped shirt right there?
Hi there. I'm Dr. Marika Fisser from Auburn, Alabama. I'm actually an immigrant. I immigrated here in 1998, and I became a U.S. citizen 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
And mine is regarding immigration reform and these new laws that the president now wants to put in place. I learned English in the school system. I'm South African by birth, and Afrikaans was my first language, and I integrated well, and so I don't understand where this animosity is coming towards immigrants. If it's because I never received this kind of animosity until 2-3 years ago, and for now the president to come in and say that immigrants are bad and taking your jobs, I mean, this whole country is built on immigration. And people, when they showed up in the 1800s and in the 1700s, didn't show up with a visa, and they were still let in, and now suddenly it's a problem. And I don't understand why these laws are being created to prevent people from improving their lives.